Penguin Random House Audio presents Get Good with Money, 10 Simple Steps to Becoming Financially Whole. This is the author, Tiffany Aliche. Note to listeners, this program includes a downloadable PDF that contains resources from the book. To my parents, Arandi and Sylvia Aliche, thank you for setting the bar so high. To my sisters, you are my best friends and my biggest cheerleaders. What do people do without sisters? To my dream catchers, I finally cracked the code. This book is my love letter to you. I hope it's the light that shines to lead the way, and it helps to illuminate the dark places while on your journey toward your richer life. Thank you for inspiring me to find the solutions and to share them joyfully. Introduction. I messed up. No, I really messed up this time. About 10 years ago, these were the words that replayed in my head as I sat crying and packing up my things. For a couple of reasons, I couldn't afford my condo and I had to move out pronto. This was 2009, and we were in the middle of the Great Recession. The recession was like a scary monster that lurked around every corner. We were all talking about it, and several friends had lost their jobs due to it. I had assumed I was in the clear because I was a preschool teacher, and teaching jobs were supposed to be recession-proof, right? Unfortunately, my school was a nonprofit, and the corporate entities that kept us going no longer had the funds to do so. 3 days earlier, I'd learned that I and all the staff was out of work. As usual, I'd been living on savings over the summer months. I was paid on a 9-month basis and had to plan ahead to stretch it through the full 12, and hadn't seen this layoff coming. That was one of the reasons I now couldn't afford my mortgage and was moving out in a rush. But let me stop. I'm getting ahead of myself. So much happened before my meltdown. Let me take it back to the very beginning. Cue overly dramatic dream sequence music. My parents are pretty awesome. They were born and raised in small rural villages in Nigeria. My dad came to the United States first. He had little money and a dream for more. He later brought my mother, the love of his life, from a neighboring village to join him. Through hard work, discipline, and a sickening work ethic, they both earned 2 degrees, a bachelor's in economics and an MBA in finance for my dad, and a bachelor's and master's in nursing for my mom. Held down great jobs, both are now retired, and had 5 lovely college-educated daughters. I'm the second and wildest of those daughters. My parents have also always been masters at weaving financial lessons into our day-to-day activities. Here's a perfect example. I'll set the scene. Roselle, New Jersey, July 1986. I was 6 years old and heavily focused on riding my bike, playing outside, and eating ice cream. You know, serious 6-year-old stuff. But I had 3 siblings at that time, 2 of whom were also interested in ice cream, which would have added up to a pretty big expense for my parents if we'd all been allowed to buy it from the ice cream truck every day. So my parents had devised a unique and financially responsible way for my sisters and me to enjoy treats. We each had a weekly ice cream day, which allowed us to ask for $1 when the ice cream truck came around. The others could eat the cheaper store-bought variety stashed in the freezer. I can remember one specific occasion when my day came up. I heard the distinctive sound of the ice cream truck bell as it came down the street. I quickly ran into the house to collect my $1. "Daddy," I said excitedly, "the ice cream man is here and today is my day." Adochi, he said a little gravely. Adochi, pronounced O-do-chi, is my Nigerian name. Adochi, the waterman just left with your dollar. My 6-year-old mind immediately started racing. Had the police been called? Was anybody hurt in the robbery? If it wasn't a robbery, what did the waterman have to do with the ice cream that was in the truck that was getting closer with every minute? I'm guessing you're just as confused as I was. So let me step back just a little further and explain the significance of the waterman. At 6 years old, I was obsessed with water. My obsession often led me to turning on all the faucets in the house to enjoy the soothing sounds of running water, no matter what room I was in at the time. As you can imagine, this habit did not go over well with my mom and dad, who, A, paid for that running water, and B, were very budget conscious. Which explains what my dad said next. Adochi, the waterman came because every time you run the water, it has to be paid for. So today, I had to give him your ice cream day money. I have only a vague recollection of what happened next. The trauma has clearly caused me to block out this part of my history. According to eyewitnesses, my sisters, I dramatically flung my body to the floor in a temper tantrum. Later that night, I cried myself to sleep, lamenting the unfairness of it all. The next morning, my dad sat me down and I had my very first purposeful, conscious money talk. I learned that things cost money and that the choices I make have a direct impact on my quality of life. In other words, there is no such thing as a small financial choice. We each must learn how to weigh our short-term desires against our long-term goals. The question is, will you choose water or ice cream? By age 26, I thought I had taken this important lesson to heart, and I was proud of my balanced finances and frequent wise choices. After all, I had defied math and managed to save $40,000 in a little under 3 years, even though my teacher's salary started at $39,000. My credit score was an 802 out of 850, A++, baby. And a year before, at the tender age of 25, I had bought the aforementioned condo. Sound too good to be true? It was. Get your pearls ready. You'll be clutching them in a minute. The scams. In 2007, I had already accomplished the savings and stats I mentioned earlier. You might even say I thought I was at my most financially responsible. I was certainly feeling confident in my ability to manage my own money. So much so that I decided I was ready to start investing above and beyond mere retirement. And instead of asking my financially expert dad for a crash course on that more sophisticated concept, I turned instead to someone who had money and asked him to teach me how to grow wealth. I turned to a guy we'll call Jack the Thief, JTT, for reasons that will become apparent soon. JTT had an expensive car, owned a penthouse apartment in New York City, and always seemed to have cash on hand. In my 20s, I didn't realize that you could have expensive things, but not really own expensive things. I reached out to JTT and asked him to help me invest. I had no previous credit card debt, and he said the best way to invest is with other people's money. So he advised me to open new credit cards and take out cash advances to use the credit card company's money to build my own wealth. JTT owned several stores in Europe, and the plan was to use the money to buy popular American brands and ship them to his stores. We had a contract. I wasn't a total dummy, I assured myself.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?